In any historical work of fiction, an understanding of the historical context for the action of the story can significantly enhance the appreciation of it. Alan Gratz' Refugee is no exception. To more fully appreciate Gratz' novel, it helps to understand a little bit about dry food, wet food policy. This essay will be about why President Obama abolished the policy, the pros, and the cons. Firstly, dry food, wet food, or wet feet, dry feet is a policy implemented by President Bill Clinton in 1995 to let Cuban escapees who leave by boat live legally in the United States. If the fugitives get caught with dry feet on American soil, they get visas and eventually get the right to apply legally for permanent residency. But if they get cornered in the water, they have to go back to Cuba. This will help with understanding what Isabel and her family are going through in the book. Primarily, Obama put an end to the protocol to establish traditional and normalized relations and diplomatic arrangements between the United States and the country island governments. Equally important, to terminate years of hostility between the two countries. During and after the Cold War, Cuba and the United States were having conflicts, and the American country established the policies for the purpose of isolating the Latin country economically and diplomatically. For instance, the USA hiked taxes on imports and ended Cuban sugar imports. Jay Johnson, the Homeland Security Secretary, stated, "What we've agreed to is that the past is the past and the future will be different." Obama made a deal with the Cuban government, and the island agreed to the return of citizens. Effective immediately, Cuban nationals who attempt to enter the U.S. illegally and do not qualify for humanitarian relief will be subject to removal, said President Obama, announcing the end of the policy. Like every political decision, there are repercussions, some good and some bad. Commencing with the pros of Obama's declaration, it allows to treat every group of migrants the same and saves lives. President Obama said, "By taking this step, we are treating migrants the same way we are treating migrants from other countries. While Cubans could gain legal residency by having their feet on American land, other nationalities couldn't. But more exactly, any non-American getting caught living in the United States of America gets arrested or deported, for example, Haitians and Mexicans. In the eyes of many people, that policy was wrong because it treated Cubans differently than any other escapees. Moreover, the dry feet, wet feet policy endangered lives. It encouraged Cubans to risk their lives, said Laura Vaniello, a Cuban American. Runaways had to leave their country by boat through the Atlantic Ocean to eventually arrive in Florida, but as only if they made it through storms, starvation, and maybe diseases. By ending the policy, the ex-president helped preserve lives. In any bureaucratic decisions, there are cons. The abolishment of the Cuban migration policy is encouraging the Republic of Cuba to keep a communist regime and shut down an important program. The Cuban government violates human rights and has not improved its behavior towards protesters and anti-communists since Fidel Castro's reign. Castro put to death hundreds of his political opponents, put anti-communists in prison, and censored the press and the media. In consequence of Obama's choice, the island country now lacks influence to change its methods. Besides giving Cuba more power for its communist ways, the cancellation of the dry food, wet food policy pushed the Department of Homeland Security to eliminate the Cuban Medical Professional Parole Program. The program allowed Cuban medical personnel to be assigned aid missions overseas. The number of migrants doubled from 2014 to 2015 as a result of Cubans being scared that the policy would end soon, and they were right. No matter the President of the United States and what she or he does with the dry food or wet food policy, this topic will always be controversial.